Hey, I don't know how to do this smart, stupid stuff. We have here Martin. Who else?
Ram Beers in the house.
All right. Then we go from there.
Juan Martin.
Shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you for listening, guys. We love you. This is episode 20th or 19th. We have something really special for you guys. Shout out to our number one listener, Corey Harpin. He's listened to every one of our episodes. Corey Harpin.
Let's go see her.
Thanks for the shout out. I'm
Corey
right here.
Harpin in the building. Number one listener in the building.
Woo! Keep listening, and we'll bring you here.
There you go.
Fly you out,
All right, welcome,
motherfuckers.
Corey.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye. I mean,
All right, so
what's up, man? Welcome to the podcast. Long time coming. Our number one listener.
man,
This is to tell all the people out there, all the kids out there, if you eat all your veggies and you apply yourself in school, you one day can be flown out to this podcast to be a part of it.
I tell you what, it was. This has been a dream come true. This whole experience today, traveling out here to the Smart Stupid Stuff studios. It's been amazing.
Was the driver good? The limo got there on time?
Yeah, the limo was incredible.
Yeah.
The setup you have here is nothing short of amazing. Joe Rogan has absolutely nothing on you.
You get the titty service?
Hey, listen,
I pay for the titty service. If you didn't get the titty service, you need to let me know.
I think that's for the return trip.
Oh, that's right. It's on the way back.
Yeah, on the way back. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for driving out here. I know you live in the middle of fucking nowhere. Graham, North Carolina, I believe it's pronounced.
False.
You drove an hour and 20 minutes to get here. I appreciate you. What is so cool about Graham? Why do you live there?
Man, I'll tell you
Are
what.
you from Graham? No, you're not from Graham.
No,
I know that.
I'm not from Graham, but
Is Graham?
it is Graham. Yeah.
Why is there an H in it?
I don't know. It's silent. It's
Okay.
kind of like
Makes sense.
like Graham Cracker.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were going to come up with a gamer tag and you lived there and you were a white person, you might call yourself Graham Cracker. Maybe
No, I wouldn't.
you wouldn't. That's a bad idea. Okay.
No, because I would be Brown Cracker.
Well, I'm just saying. I've said
Spicy Cracker.
but if you were a white person, you
Oh,
might
if I
call
was a
yourself
white
Graham Cracker.
Dude, if I was
Anyway.
a white person, first off, I wouldn't be talking to you, number one. I will be sitting in my land with my MAGA hat, just chilling. Nah, I'm just kidding. So
Oh,
I would
man.
probably be living in Graham.
Dude.
Is that where you live there? Is that where all the white people are?
Actually, Graham's pretty diverse, man.
My ass.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of Hispanic people. It's very, very multicultural.
My peeps.
A lot of white people, a lot of black people, a lot of Asian people. It's it's a big melting pot. It's a cool place though.
So I'm a guy, and I'm looking to move to a place in the area, and you are a real estate agent or a representative of Graham, and you're Graham, sorry, and you're trying to sell me on this town. What is the first thing you tell me? Give me your peach for Graham. Yeah, please, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I think it's sort of the kind of the quintessential small town, but it's up and coming. Great location, easily accessible. You're right in between numerous major cities. It has all the good things that come with a small town, but it has all of the really good things that you'll find in a town that is really kind of, blossoming and blowing up. So there's a ton of stuff to do, but you still have kind of that small town feel at the same time. And then within, 20, 30 minutes, you can be in a huge city. You can be in Greensboro. You can be in Durham. You can be in Chapel Hill. It's right next door to Burlington, which is a pretty big city in and of itself. There's Elon University is there. You're not missing out on anything. The only thing that the only downside is that you are a little bit far away from Raleigh. And there's a lot that's going on here in Raleigh. But, other than that, I don't think there's any real downfall. Great cost of living there as well.
Fuck it, I'm not moving there.
Come on, let's go. Pack your shit.
Fuck it, I'm not buying it. You're coming across as a salesperson. I'm not feeling it. And I know for a fact there are probably some fucking KKK meetings there. I know there's cross being burnt there. I don't care how many Hispanic people live there. I don't trust it.
Definitely not.
Then why would you have so many guns? Huh? That's what I'm saying. Nah, that makes sense.
I mean, I had a bunch of guns, but they were all tragically lost in a boating accident.
In a boating accident.
Yeah, they all went overboard and sank, so I no longer have them. So if the government comes and tries to confiscate them, I have none of them anymore.
Is that like a story that you really do have prepared? Like,
I mean,
you want, as a gun owner, do you try not to tell? I mean, allegedly as a gun owner, you just were lost. But if you were a gun owner, hypothetically speaking, would you not? Is it best practice not to share how many guns you have? Is it like a thing not to do that?
No, I mean, I think it varies like per person. I mean, you have some people on YouTube that are big like gun YouTube channels that will show extensively what they have. You know, and they'll shoot all their guns and they'll show everything. There's lots of people that post pictures and stuff online. Other people are a little bit more private about it, but it is kind of like sort of a running joke. I mean, there are shirts that you can buy that say like I lost all my guns in a boating accident, because that's sort of like the go-to of, you know, in a crazy world, the government comes to get all your guns one day and you're like, you know, you've hidden them somewhere. You're like, I don't have them. I had them all aboard my boat and a big wave came and washed them over. And well, where are they now? I don't know. They sank to the bottom of the ocean. That's sort of the joke you can tell.
So be honest, like in your normal life, how much does it actually stress you out that your guns could be taken away? Does it actually like keep you up at night?
Does it keep me up at night? No. I mean, I don't pay a ton of attention to politics. Just, I don't know. I think it's a gigantic shit show.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes time to, you know, for me personally to vote, then yeah, I mean, that's an issue that I'm concerned about personally. That
but you're not worried that somebody's going to show up at your house. Say they pass a law, you know, in the worst case of scenario, doomsday for somebody, not you, somebody that would own a lot of guns.
Right. Yeah. Not me, because I don't have any.
Yeah.
But if I did, right.
Doomsday scenario, they show up to your house and they want their guns. What would you do? Your guns. No, the other guy's guns.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people that.
Have you ever thought about that? Like, is that like is actually upsetting you?
No, I mean, it's not upsetting me. And listen, if I owned guns, right, and if there was a knock on the door and I opened the door and there were a bunch of armed people standing at my door saying, "Hey, we're coming in to take your shit," I mean, what can I do at that point, right? Like by that point, like, okay, well, I mean, game over.
Hide some shit in the backyard.
That's what I'm saying. You know, all of mine, I would do that if they weren't all lost at the bottom of the ocean.
I would have, if I was a gun owner and I was really concerned about that, I would first off keep one gun at all times strapped to my taint for security reasons, and then the other gun would be buried in the backyard.
I think.
And then as soon as they showed up, I'd be like, "Hey, papi, I don't know where the gun is. Hey, you check." And then they'll find the ones inside. You know, I'll pretend that I don't speak English. Maybe that'll work against me, right? If a bunch of FBI agents show up and I'm over here like I don't speak English, maybe that's not the best call. So I'll actually be like, "Hey guys, I don't know where my guns are. I have no idea where the guns are."
I think maybe the kid that was on the mechanical horse you were describing in the last episode, he might have had a gun strapped to his taint, and when he was riding the horse, he was just simply trying to cock it.
Probably.
That's all it was.
But then it was some sort of leakage that happened because
just some gun oil.
I could see it on his khakis.
Some gun oil leaked out of his khakis.
His khakis were ruined. The khakis are not usable anymore. They're not going to pass the black light test. But so anyway, so if somebody comes in, then you're just going to give him up. So that's where the fear is, because you wouldn't shoot him, you wouldn't fight it, you would just be like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, by that point...
What would they show up in the middle of the night, man?
By that point, you would already... So much other stuff would have probably happened in our country
apocalyptic situation
for that to have happened. And there have been sheriffs, you know, that are in charge of police forces across the country that have already said, we're not going to comply if those laws are passed here, and we need to go and confiscate guns. Like, we uphold the Constitution. So I don't think it would ever happen. I think there are enough good people in law enforcement and military that they're not going to go door to door and disarm the populace. But I honest to God, I think if that happens, if it gets to that point, there's some major shit that's happening. And
you can always move to Canada. Can you have guns in
seriously.
Canada?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I think you can. There's probably some weird restrictions.
I love how excited you get when we talked about this. I almost want this to happen just to see your reaction. I mean, allegedly.
I mean, listen,
I can't wait to be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I'm gonna take my shit. I'm gonna take my shitty.
Yeah, I mean, that reaction would happen well before they got to my door. If I'm standing at my door and there's somebody there, I've already lost. Game's over. I'm not putting up a fight then because they're gonna fucking kill me.
Bro, the legislation would happen. You would know it's coming. You'd have plenty of time to bury a bunch of guns in your backyard.
Right.
Tell them you lost it in a boating accident.
Right, exactly. And I 100%, if I owned guns, would absolutely try all of that shit.
Strap one to your taint, absolutely 100%.
Yes. Well, I mean, that would be a second one because I always keep one there anyway.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah, so you'll be fine, dude. That's the other thing about that. Like, the whole... People get riled up about guns, dude. I bet you if you wanted guns... If you wanted to have guns, you'll have guns.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not... You can't... They're already here.
Well, that's the thing.
You can't, like, clean that shit up.
Gun laws don't do anything but impact lawful gun owners.
Then why is it stressing you out so much?
Because I'm a lawful gun owner, and gun laws are going to affect me.
But then as soon as they pass the law, then you go from a lawful gun owner to an unlawful gun owner.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Drugs have been illegal in this country for how long, right? And they're still everywhere.
Not when done anally.
Well, yes.
If you do Molly up the butt, you're fine. Just want to put that up there.
I agree, but it's probably still illegal to do.
No, it's legal.
Oh, it is legal if you do it in the butt. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a thing. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to. I know you're trying to get me to go down this path, and I'm trying to resist, and you've almost got me there.
What path?
I don't know.
No, dude. Like, so I'm saying, if you are like, who gives a shit what the government wants from you, bro? Fuck him.
Fuck the government? Is that what you're trying to get me to say?
I'm not saying that. I still got a green card, son. I gotta watch what I say. I love it here. Anyways,
love it in America.
I'm just saying, like, dude, if I got a bunch of guns and they say you can't have guns anymore, I'll probably turn in like 5 of them, and then the other ones and be like, oh yeah, I don't have them. But then what are you going to do with the guns? How much do you actually use guns? A person that has guns, do you use them a lot? Do you, like, shoot them a lot?
I mean, you can. There's probably a lot of people that have guns that don't use them that often. There's probably people that have guns that shoot them all the time. I mean, going to the range, I think, is one of the... I mean, I love going. I think it's an incredibly fun thing to do. I don't go all the time. I mean, it's expensive to go, right? You know, I'm a member of a range, but, you know, ammo is expensive. It's time consuming to go out there. I mean, I would go all the time if I could, right? But it's not feasible. But I mean, I think it's a fun thing to do. It's certainly a hobby. It's absolutely something that you know, can get better at. I mean, most people the first time they shoot at the beginning they suck. They're not very good. So you know, you find that out, and then you're like, well, shit, I want to get better. I want to hit the target. I want to be better at this. So it's something that, just like any other skill that you want to practice and develop and get better at, if it's something you're interested in.
You absolutely need ear protection.
100%.
I can tell you that from experience.
Yeah, if I ever ran into some knucklehead that would ever want to shoot a gun without hearing protection.
So I've only shot a gun twice. I've shot multiple guns, but it has only been 2 events in my life.
Okay.
And both of them was when I went to upstate New York. My wife is from upstate New York. She lives in the woods, or her family lives in, like, not the woods, but like a very rural part of New York. And I've shot guns. Hey, Rambisi! El tío Rambir is here. El tío Elias is here. ¿Cómo se llama, papi? Join us. Number 1 listener in the house, baby.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Show your support.
How you doing?
Good to meet you.
Welcome.
Get a haircut, man. Good.
Yeah. I got a haircut special. We're talking about guns, man. We're all getting one.
Guns in America.
Do you guys have guns?
I'm going to a gun show this weekend.
Talk to the microphone.
Where's it at?
Talk to the microphone.
Jim Graham Building.
Oh, the State Fairgrounds?
Yeah.
Talk to the
Nice.
microphone and pass me one of them fine beers, please.
Alcoholic beverages.
Yep.
More guns? Less crime, I heard. That's what they say.
My ass.
For real, man. More guns, less
So,
crime.
you guys missed the first part, but we're basically Corey allegedly lost all his guns in a boating accident, but he used to have many of them.
You lost? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You lost your gun?
If the government comes for them, I lost them all in a tragic
If
boating
anybody
accident.
asked, he lost them all. That's not plugged in.
I'm about to lose my guns too.
Yeah.
He's gonna buy them and immediately lose them.
Yeah.
Elias, over there.
I went and did the background check and they've got like 3 permits.
Well, you shouldn't need that. Remember that whole gun show loophole. You should just be able to walk in and walk out, right?
At the gun show.
Yeah, that's what they talk about all the time there's this gun show loophole. You shouldn't have to do a background check, remember?
Are you being sarcastic? Is that a
Yes,
thing?
I'm being very
I know
sarcastic.
nothing about this.
I mean, they talk, you hear people all the time talking about this gun show loophole where anybody can get a gun at a gun show without a background check, but that is very, very false.
Okay, I was about to say. Say my permits.
He's
Yeah.
He fucking got.
They're gonna Craigslist. Yeah.
Corey got that information from Fox News. You honestly can go to a gun show and
I don't know how that is. Can anyone post a gun for sale like on Craigslist?
bro,
Stuff like
if you don't hide it, you could just buy a gun. Cheers.
Cheers.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
If you're not planning on concealing it, tell me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead. I'll tell you. I mean,
If I don't plan on conceal it, I can go to Wallywood and buy a shotgun right now. Yes or no?
So shotgun.
Yes.
Yes.
But they do the background check.
But a handgun.
Yes.
Nothing, dude.
No, they do the background check right there when you go buy it.
I can,
Was that you?
but then they'll
When you
give.
open, I think it's like when you can carry and hide it, right?
Yes.
You know what I would do? I immediately saw it off and strap it right to my taint.
Okay. Well,
Well,
That-
it would feel good for sure.
it would feel something.
I feel different.
I like the feeling, you know. But yeah, I mean, obviously, that's a problem right now. That there is a division in this country, right? And if you have to be either pro or against guns. You can't just be. I feel like I land very well in the middle, but you have Fox News, and then you have CNN,
Right.
and you have people that believe against guns and people believe pro guns. So they're gonna say things not that are true, but that are gonna keep the person worried and excited and angry because that's what keeps you watching, right? So on Fox News, when Corey's sitting there in his living room with his MAGA hat, drinking his
False.
Budweiser, and they play and they have a thing that says all these goddamn immigrants are gonna take your guns away. Guess what? Corey's listening.
Hey, Corey's listening to the podcast. He knows better than that.
Number one.
Listen, I am listening to the podcast, and I
we
gotta
appreciate
say,
you, buddy.
I gotta say, it is a trip to be here.
You're listening.
I feel like I know you guys, and I know that we have just met, and I truly feel like I know you because I have heard your voices, I've heard your stories, and now to see you in person, it's
We think.
yeah, I do, and it's wild to be sitting here. No joke.
Thanks for joining us, man. How does it feel to hear your own voice on the podcast that you used to listen to?
You're sitting in the car right now listening to yourself.
It's very weird. I do want to give a shout out to the number one listener, Corey Harpin.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
you. Woo!
We're gonna do that later. We do the intro after the fact.
I'm
But
sorry,
I
I
like
got-
that. Number one
I
listener.
got
baby.
excited.
You know, I stopped shouting out a lot of people, but I continue to shout you out
Corey's got-
because this motherfucker listens to it, and I appreciate you. Evan is listening to a lot of them too now.
And then
Evan's been surprising me with that. You know, Evan's real quiet. He doesn't talk to a lot of people. He's just kind of chill.
You gotta be careful with those guys.
Yeah, I think give him candy.
And going back to the gun, like I went to the shooting range, and it's crazy how easy when you know, like it was my first time doing it like a year ago. How easy it is when you put the
Pull the
finger
trigger?
in the trigger,
Boom.
like how easy it goes. I was wondering why there's so many accidents, you know, like
Yeah.
Oh, it's just very sensitive.
very sensitive.
yeah,
I mean, you literally move your finger
And
and
boom.
you can take a life.
Boy, and that's the thing with
Yeah.
cops, bro. Like, I don't think any cop out there is out there to shoot the wrong person. But if you're under a lot of fucking stress, you receive X amount of training,
Yep.
you better be a fucking goddamn Navy SEAL to not, like, get
Wrong
twitchy.
person, right.
Like, you know, like,
Look,
you know,
that's a whole-
there's a whole lot of thing there. But yeah, I mean,
If
you might accidentally shoot somebody for sure.
And especially now,
Excuse me.
you're a cop and people are flicking you off. People are threatening you. People are, I mean, shit. But cops are. I mean, a lot of respect for cops, but damn, man, you're constantly babysitting. You know, the city, yeah, babysitting adults. I used to volunteer at a fire department, and one of the guys that worked with us, I asked him if he did like a ride along with the cops, and he was trying to do some kind of. He was thinking about joining the police department, and he had been doing the fire.
Oh, hold up. Damn. I never activated your mics because you guys weren't here.
Oh
man. You're going to sound far away till
super far away.
now.
Test.
No, but see, you hear it, but you weren't activated here.
All right,
Now you're activated. Sorry
All right.
about that. Just turn it up when they were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Put the volume up.
We were supposed to be doing one early podcast, so I only had two
We
mics
joined in.
activated. So anyways, what were you
So he was. It was a buddy of mine who was in the fire department. He was interested in joining the police department, so he did like a couple ride-alongs. And I said, "What happened? Did you like it?" He's like, "Man, I love being a firefighter." He said, "When I was doing the ride-alongs, man, you're basically babysitting grown men and women. You are babysitting adults, and you're breaking up domestic issues and people's problems." And and again, just going back to you're saying like glitchy. I mean, cops are constantly being threatened, and people just don't like them. You know, he's like, when I go into a room, it's different when a cop goes into a room to when a firefighter goes in the room. Firefighter goes in the room. If you want to take pictures, people want to talk, whatever. It's like cops is a little bit different, but you need that enforcement, right? You need to,
Bro, I've never had issues with the cops. I mean, I don't particularly like them or want to be around them, but I've never had issues with the cops.
You got one issue.
No, so until that time,
Okay.
I got pulled over, and this dude just decided that I was a fucking drug lord. This,
that one time you told me.
And, bro, it was one of the worst experiences in my life. But I try to look at this objectively, and I was working at Verizon. I had a brand new truck, and I am Hispanic, and I'm driving from Fayetteville, right? If I'm this cop, I've probably seen a lot of Hispanic guys driving from Fayetteville moving drugs. I found out later that was a thing. Something in Fayetteville, they move drugs between Raleigh and Fayetteville. That's a thing. Driving
95.
a brand new truck. He pulled me over. He said I was swerving bullshit, and just to pull me over, and immediately gave me a ticket. And then I decided I'm gonna cooperate with everything he says. I'm just gonna cooperate. That's gonna be my motto. I have nothing to hide. I have 2 cell phones. I rethought everything. I had 2 cell phones because I worked at Verizon, so I have 2 cell phones.
Oh.
So this guy's thinking this guy has something and he's hiding it. I was drinking a beer because I like to drink a beer when I drive sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And
Are you serious?
Just one.
Just one.
So I was nervous because of the beer because I thought, but it was already done. It was like the empty can was in my bag, but I was like
Right.
freaking out, like this guy's gonna find it. That's what I was nervous.
Oh, it was
But he was
inside
like-
the bag.
Yeah, it was in my bag. It was from Fayetteville. It was an hour and 30 minutes. I drank one fucking beer. Like
Right.
I was already done. dude.
Sure.
Like I was already almost by Apex. I was in Apex actually.
Okay.
And
that makes it okay.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I already, whatever.
The best city
One
in
beer,
the US.
man, is just for the
Shout out to the
nutrients.
bill.
There's a lot of nutrients and vitamins in the beer.
Right.
What do you think about this?
Keep going. This is interesting.
Long story short, he stops me. This white guy, Blake. His name was Blake.
Blake.
Fucking
Blake.
fucking square ass
Blake.
head and shit.
yeah.
Got like his hair was flat on the top. What possessed you in your life to get that haircut?
Flat top.
You had to been in the army. That's the only reason.
He was
right?
trying to be a sheriff.
I don't know. He was a state trooper.
Oh, state trooper.
He was a
Okay.
state trooper, and he stopped me. He said, "Hey, buddy, what you get out of your car? Come on, let's come in my car." And I'm like, "All right,
Come in my car. Okay.
So I came. It was fantastic. And then Blake left, and I
And
went
then he had
home.
another beer.
Then I had to take a nap.
Can I bring my beer with me to your car?
Long story short, Blake was convinced I was a drug lord. And no matter how much I cooperated with him, it's funny because when we were waiting for the dog, because he called the dogs.
K9.
I found out later that I could have been like, Blake, am I under arrest? And he would have been like, no, and I could have left. But that's just things you learn later. All I recommend is respect the police. but they're doing a job that is tough.
Mhm.
And as a citizen, it's your duty to know your rights. And as a citizen, it's your duty to call your fucking lawyer and shut the fuck up.
Right.
Because I'm over there just giving him
Everything he wants.
everything he wants, and he was just convinced in his mind and his bias because he's lived through a lot,
Sure.
and a lot of indicated that I should have been the guy.
Mhm.
And I dude, kept me for 2 hours. When we were waiting for the Canaan unit, there was like the radio was playing, and somebody said something to Donald Trump, and he was like, "Yeah, I like that guy." I don't know why.
on the radio.
And on this because I'm sitting in the passenger seat with Blake, waiting for the Canaan unit to
Like
get there.
on the radio station or on the the radio from the
I'm
police
thinking
radio.
it was the police radio. And I think that because I don't imagine that they would play the normal radio inside the car.
They would.
Ah.
Oh,
They're
okay.
probably still watching.
Well, and somehow or another, the topic came up, and he just very like dismissively said that something like, "Yeah, I like the guy," and I was like, "All right, whatever." And I kept on thinking, I'm gonna show Blake I don't have it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
he's
going to prove it
show
to
him
him.
wrong.
He's going to be so
Bro,
excited. He's
there
going
is
to be
no
happy. He's going to
fucking-
apologize for
Nah,
my
yeah,
2 hours spent.
That's what I was saying. I was thinking he's gonna be like, "Bro, I'm sorry, dude.
Right.
I know you don't have to do my job." And I was gonna be like, "Yeah, I totally get it,
Right.
Blake. No problem." 2 hours and 30 minutes. They took the car apart. They could not find anything. They finally found the beer, and he said, "Do you have anything?" I was like, "I have a beer in my bag," and he didn't give a flying fuck about
No.
that beer, because this guy in his head, he's thinking,
He's looking for the stat. He's looking
I have
for the
a big
some weight in there.
strap to my taint.
Wow.
Well, you know what? He never checked my taint.
Did he search?
Never checked my taint.
He searched you.
No.
Never searched you.
Mm-mm.
Never patted you down.
Mm-mm. Well, he did do this at
He
the
knew
end.
you were from Colombia.
At the end, like you know what? I could even tell from the Canaan unit
Canaan.
of Canaan.
Uh huh.
How do you say? it?
K9. He said
K9.
K9. He said
The
K9?
Canaan
Canin. Okay.
unit officer that he was kind of getting frustrated. Like, bro, like, what are you doing to this kid? Like, I kind of had that vibe, but he was doing it, and the Canaan smelled something in the truck. To the point that I'm like doubting myself, like, do I have drugs in there? And I'm like, but anyways, he searched the car for 2 hours. He didn't find anything. He got frustrated. Opened the door. Didn't even talk to me. He said, "Get out."
He was probably just pissed.
He's pissed, dude.
Pissed.
And I'm still waiting for the apology.
Apology.
I'm saying like, because I complied. Dude, I even signed a paper. Because later I found out you do not have to comply.
Mm.
Like, it's best not to comply, even though it might piss him off. Just be like, "Officer, with all due respect, I don't think that you have a probable cause or whatever." Next time, I'm calling a lawyer immediately, dude. I'm
So
calling
me-
my buddy Tucci, Robert Tucci.
Right.
He told me, like, next time that happens to you, just call me. I'll put me on the phone. I'll talk to him. I'm like, all right. So I'm definitely taking him out for that. But he said, "You have tattoos," and I'm
What?
still in this thing. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Take your shirt off."
What?
I took my shirt off on the side of 540, and he's taking pictures of my tattoos. Later, I found
Oh
out
my
he was
gosh.
trying to get me. Like, at that point, he's trying to get me for anything
Anything.
possible. So he was trying to get me for gang-affiliated tattoos. So you don't have to take your fucking shirt off.
No.
You don't have to do that. And I'm like, so yes, there's biases. These guys are under a lot of stress. But fuck, I think
you
as
know,
a citizen, you need to know what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on.
Well, you do. I mean, I think it's like anything else, right? Someone's going to push their limits as far as they can to try to get you to do what you can do.
Right.
Or even we work in sales, right? We know what we can get done and what we can't get done,
Mhm.
and so we're going to push things as far as we can to try to get the outcome done that we're looking for. And at some point, someone's just got to stand up and be like, "No."
The crazy
That's
part is
enough.
you're raised to respect law enforcement. You look up to cause. What do you want to be with a girl? I want to be a police officer, right? So you're kind of like going against this authoritative power that you're supposed to respect and that you appreciate, and that when you need it, guess who you call? You don't call your friends, you call 911. And when the
Right.
police come there, nobody complains, right?
Right.
So
You're a good guy.
right, they're the good guy, but when they pull you over, so it's kind of like a weird situation that you're supposed to respect that upper authority, and I'm kind of with Martina. I'll do what I'm told, and then if we need to figure something out, we'll figure something out. But
But next time I won't. I honestly won't do the same. Next time I will. I won't. I'm never gonna be rude.
right,
I'm gonna be very respectful, but I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to ask, "Am I under arrest?" And you have to say, your name, and you have to say who you. There are certain things you have to say, but after that, you can say, "Officer, I do not answer questions."
Right. I've seen some of those videos.
and that's something.
Yeah.
And it's very uncomfortable, and I bet it pisses
Super
them off.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to be as nice as possible and be like, because this guy was asking me like, "Do you and your wife?" Because he's like, "Where do you work?" I work at Verizon, and what do you do? Do you and your wife maybe are struggling for money and you needed to do something? Like, dude, to that level. And he was like, "Yo, I know you have them.
What?
I'm good at this job. I know you have him. It is going to be a matter of time before I find him."
See, some people would take that
And-
really personal, and they would just like take personal offense to that.
And I was
Like, how dare you?
Yeah,
Like,
I've
I've
probably
never-
would have cussed him out.
I've never.
But
con-
you
I've
can't.
never.
You can't. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I was legitimately scared. I was, dude.
Well, this
Put,
is
put,
what-
put,
what
put,
am I
put,
gonna
put it
do?
this way: imagine how many people have been in your position, right? Completely innocent, haven't done anything, got framed for a rape, for a murder, and are in prison right now and are not free to listen to this podcast because they got framed or they needed to blame somebody. And here's some brown skinned person, and let's go ahead and frame, or somebody who we need to get somebody in here, and this fits the description,
An hour into it,
right? And they're locked up for 20 plus years.
I said I was gonna get a camera in my car, and I still need to, because an hour into it, I'm wondering like, why is it gonna take? This guy is so sure. What is it gonna take for him to put something in there and fuck me up?
And you would have nothing.
There's no
Nothing.
proof.
It's your word against his.
I'm sitting in the passenger seat of a fucking state trooper car, watching these two motherfuckers take
Your
the
car
car apart, and I'm worried because at the time we were dating, my wife's car, brand new car. I'm worried this car they're gonna scratch it, they're gonna do something to it. Oh my god, dude!
There are podcasts. So I listen to podcasts all the time. That's one of the
this
reasons
one.
I listen.
Number one,
to
listen
this
to
one.
Corey Harper.
Yeah, go.
Corey Harper.
That's right. Shout out.
And there are podcasts that focus solely on that. There, like a big one is the one called Undisclosed, and it's all stories about people that have been wrongfully convicted, where they have where they proclaim actual innocence, not like innocence where like on a technicality, like they messed up, the chain of command on this evidence, or there was some like procedural issue where they did it, but like technically they have to get off. There are all these issues where it's like people are actually innocent of these crimes and they are being held in prison, and it's they're just like a handful of stories, right? But it's insane the number of stories that are out there.
There's I was looking it up. I think it was there's one.
Man,
There's
I just saw
When
one
They- When They
not
See
long
Us.
ago.
On Netflix, When They See Us.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen that one, it's called When They See Us. It's on Netflix, but it's a group of like 4 kids in New York City, probably 20 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, and they get charged for raping and I think attempted murder to this either 4, like 1 Hispanic, I think Dominican guy, 3 black guys, and there was a.
Were they raped 3 black guys?
No, they raped. Well, they were accused of raping this one white girl who was jogging through the park, through Central Park, and it was they got accused. I mean, it's like a 4-part series, but wrongfully accused, and then they ended up being released out of prison. And these guys, they were kids, they were babies, they were 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And some of them did like 7 years, some of them 10, 12 years, I think. And they're out now because, I mean, and you just watch and it pisses you off. It's just their lives, that they're never going to get that back.
There's something that cops do that is kind of fucked up. They are allowed to lie to you, to
Yep.
self-incriminate yourself. It's too
Sure.
much. But yeah, they're allowed to do things like that, which is.
And there's
And
another one.
not a lot of people know that.
There was
They're
another
allowed
one.
to lie.
They were interrogating these kids, and one of them, like, they're all minors, and their parents weren't there. And there was another one that was on Netflix about a kid who was he was younger, and I think he was kind of slow.
Are you talking about the one that was very popular for a while?
Yeah.
Making a murderer.
Making
Making a murder. Like, same idea.
Yeah.
Same
Dude, they were-
idea.
they were like,
oh
yo,
my gosh, you're
if
like
you-
getting pissed.
If you tell me this, I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah.
Like
That's
are you-
exactly what.
and you're
look,
like 13 years old.
Just
You're
sign
like,
this,
okay.
and we'll let you go. You want to go home, right? You want to go home. Once you want me with your mom and your dad, all right? Just sign this. And
Yep.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Kid ended up like.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, he ended up saying that.
They-
Feel free to talk over us.
Man, you know when they
Otherwise
made
you'll
that
never talk.
mistake, and they actually go the 10 years, and they're like, okay, we find out that you are not the killer. We find out you are not the rapist. All right, you can just go home now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh
They
my
don't. It's not
gosh.
like they give you something to compensate you or
Well, okay,
something.
apparently-
they're like, thank you, go away.
Apparently, they were gonna give him money. They were gonna give him something, but I think they were waiting. Like, I don't even think till today. I don't think it was finally approved. Like, it has to be approved, like a certain amount or whatever. But I don't even think they got their money yet.
It's wild. There's a so this one is not, and it's not just police. The other thing that's part of this, part of the corruption is prosecutors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because they can continue this whole process. So there's a story. It's out of Missouri. This guy Ryan Ferguson, and it actually didn't involve really the police much at all. But you guys should look it up. It is absolutely wild. But the long story short, there were two guys on Halloween. Somebody got murdered, and a couple years later, this one of the kids starts. He sees like they're running like some anniversary stuff about this murder that happened, and this guy starts having these sort of dreams, and he's like, "Man, I think I was involved." And so he goes to the police, and he's like, "I think I was involved in this murder," and this other guy was.
Idiot.
This other guy was too, and so they show you these videotapes of them interviewing these guys. They knew none of the details about the murder. The guy that was admitting to it,
Right.
and they're feeding him the information. Well, wasn't he? Well, how did he die? Oh, well, he was choked with this. Well, no, wasn't he actually choked with this? Oh, yeah. Long
He
story
should
short,
be on jail for being a
yeah,
dumbass.
it happens, right? And so that guy ended up getting a plea deal. He went to jail, but the guy that he like incriminated, his friend, spent 10 years in prison. He was a college kid. They literally picked him up one day at college. Spent 10 years in prison for something he had absolutely nothing to do with. His parents like went bankrupt practically, trying to get him out, and they eventually did. But he got no compensation for it. His entire 20s he spent in prison, and it's the craziest shit I've ever heard. And the prosecutors, there's no repercussions if you're a prosecutor and you know that you are basically selling a lie to a judge or a jury. There's no repercussions for you. Even like the guy that was a prosecutor in the case against these kids is now a judge. He got promoted. He got a better job out of the deal off of this case and all the notoriety it brought.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about this in one of the podcasts I listened to, and he says that one of the biggest problems we have in government is that a lot of the people that are in government are lawyers, and lawyers are not trained to find the truth or say they're wrong. Their whole training is to defend a point at all costs. They could be completely sure that point is not correct, but they've been trained to say it's correct. So guns are good. Rape is bad. This is good. Whether there's not an objective view, and his whole point is that we should have more people who are scientists in government positions, right? Like, but, I mean, obviously this is never going to happen. And I'm not saying guns are not good. I'm just saying their viewpoint is not objective. They're going to be trained to like defend this person, or they're going to be trained to defend this point.
That's what they get paid for.
And then
so let me ask something.
They can bend and like they're going to use things that work to make that happen, which is fucked up. And that's the majority of people that are in government right now. That's who they are. They're lawyers.
Crazy.
Man, I started thinking about this guy, man. It's like,
which guy?
Imagine him, the guy that was like in a dream. He was
thinking
a killer
about
in
that
a dream.
Gosh.
Make it feel so
bro.
bad.
Were you
man.
dreaming about this guy?
No.
Oh, you're thinking about the guy who was dreaming.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
incriminating his friend, and his friend was the one spending 10 years.
Yep.
Imagine like that's so. Imagine that you've been there in jail.
Yo, next
You've
time you
been there
dream
in
something,
jail.
don't fucking say it.
Keep my name out of it.
You've been there in jail. What are you here for? I was a killer in my friend's dream. So
That's right. Yeah, they made a movie about it, like a documentary type movie, and I think it's called Dream Killer. I believe is what it's called.
Did you ever watch Making a Murder?
I did.
Making a Murder?
I got hooked on that show.
Oh
man.
my
Making a
gosh,
Murder's
dude!
fucked
Have you
up,
watched
man.
it?
no,
You should watch it.
I was at Verizon
Oh
at the
my
time, and I
gosh.
would talk to cops about it when they come in to get the cell phone. I'm like, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
and the guy, I remember one cop told me, like, there's this cop that came in that he was loaded, but I think it's because his family had money. This motherfucker, it's a little bit outside the point, but this dude would come in and buy the most expensive things all the time. But he was a cop from Fuquay. So I never got it. But I remember telling him, and he was like, you know that part when he's reading the plate? He was lying. Because you don't read the plate like that without knowing. And I was like, damn. Because at one point, like, they find the car and they read the plate.
Right.
Or he said, or something like that. He was like, that guy, that cop was dirty. And I was like, fuck, dude. No, that dude got framed for sure, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It happens probably more than you think.
Well, I mean...
Dude, it could have happened to me. If that dude decided that he was going to make it happen, he could have ruined my life for whatever reason that day.
You
Like,
could be locked up right now. He could have dropped half a kilo of cocaine. You would not be here today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
How
daughter
fucked up is
your daughter would be with Stacy, and Stacey
Well, I wouldn't have a daughter because
around that time.
maybe
well,
I
let's
would
say
be
you did.
pregnant myself.
Well, Stacy would have moved on for sure.
Yeah, she's not waiting for me.
Yeah, no, she ain't waiting for you. Nella would have had another daddy. So would Stacy.
Her parents will be like, I told you.
Yeah,
I told you.
Colombian.
I told you.
No good. Colombians and cocaine. They go hand in hand.
Around the dinner table. Can you believe that motherfucker had cocaine?
I knew it. I knew
I
it.
never trusted that guy.
He had a kilo
Yeah.
of cocaine.
I heard it was 10.
Since the
What's
first
it?
day, I
8
saw
plus
his
shit,
face.
I heard.
Plus the stuffing, would you?
Hey, let's go shoot some guns outside.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Man.
So going back to cops and situations, I mean, I feel for them, and you know what? Look, it's I try to put myself in the shoes of each of the victim and the cop, and sometimes yes, there's some shit that you see now because of technology and everybody has phones. Like, damn, that's too much. Like, calm down. Like, all right, I feel like some of them they're just trying to take their anger out, and they don't have a punching bag, and they're just like taking it on this dude, right? And sometimes it's girl. But I completely lost my train of thought.
Well, everything's what the important point to me is. This is the zero part. Okay, go ahead. You remember.
I remember. Well, the point is, yeah. I mean, you're constantly around this, constantly. It's like a chef is working with a pan, right? And it's hot. It's a hot pan, right? Every time he goes to get a pan, he's gonna use a towel before he grabs that pan. He's gonna, you know what I mean? And so it's like. You never know. But what I don't understand is if a cop is telling you to do something and you want to fight with this cop, you want to state your rights, you want to this and that, like, calm down. Like, nobody is disrespecting. Like, okay, you feel offended. Okay, but, like, just take it easy. Take a step back. You might save your life. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be obedient. Do what the man says.
Well, that's
right?
the other side of the coin. It's somewhere in between. Is where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, be respectful.
Know your rights and be respectful.
That's the most important part. If you're educated, you know your rights. Then.
And even if you don't know your rights, just shut up and don't say anything.
Yeah, but you need to know that because they will
the thing
tell
is, they
you
ask and they scream,
Right.
they'll yell,
They'll
and
tell you have to answer.
And then you got 2 or 3 screaming in your ear. I
Right.
mean, eventually, there's pressure on you. You're
It
gonna
is.
break eventually.
Yeah.
And nobody's around you. I mean, it's.
Yes, I have a gun strapped to my taint right now. Sir.
I'll tell you this. So I've been pulled over.
I'm really into taints today.
You are into taint. You mentioned them a lot.
Yeah. I think he's.
That's my thing.
I don't know what's.
Is this a
going on.
carryover from the mechanical horse episode?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. You never got over it.
Check your khakis.
Yeah.
I've been pulled over twice since while I've had a gun in the car, and it's a scary situation. Been broad daylight, you know, and I'm not. I mean, I'm a white guy, right?
White guy, broad daylight.
White guy, broad daylight. So
In the hood?
Driving a truck? Driving
on
a
the
truck?
highway.
Highway,
In
okay.
the middle of Greyhound.
At the time, I had like an SUV, so the windows were tinted.
Little
But
gangster.
no, but I mean, so I get like probably. I mean, if we're just being honest, right? Probably like low on like the sort of threshold of like in the cop size, right?
Right.
But even still, like I'm not taking a chance. I've seen enough YouTube videos of people getting shot, right? And you have
Where was
to.
where was the gun?
They were. I think both times they were in my center console, or I might have been actually had it on me one time.
Oof.
But both times,
I'm sweating already.
both times, like the hand. So the dome light goes on, so the whole car's lit up, windows are down, hands go on the steering wheel, and they don't leave. And so
Is
you
that the
have.
thing you're supposed to do?
Well, that's what I do. I don't know
Well,
what
the
you're supposed
lights
to do.
are on during daylight? just from some extra. light.
You know what? The one.
Just
I'm
in
sorry.
case.
The one time I got pulled over was nighttime.
Okay.
So that was the most recent, the more recent one. But the hands were on the steering wheel the whole time, and I didn't take them off and the only time I took them off was when I went to get my wallet.
Yeah.
And I told the guy, I was
I'm
like,
gonna reach for
listen,
my weapon.
I have a
My
weapon
wallet.
because you have to tell them
Disclose.
in North Carolina if you have a concealed carry permit.
Is that the rule?
Absolutely, it's
Like
a rule.
first thing you say is, "I got a gun."
Well, you definitely don't say it like that. But you're
Don't get closer, motherfucker.
yeah. You're supposed
Packing
to
heat, bro.
whenever you have like an official encounter with law enforcement, you're supposed to tell them right away that you have a weapon.
Okay.
And so I told him I had a gun. Actually, I think what I said is I have a concealed carry permit and I have a weapon in the car. I didn't want to use the G word, right?
Okay.
You know, because I don't know if there's another guy on the passenger side that all he hears is the word gun, and he's some seriously, right? And he's some like rookie cop that's on a ride along, and he's like, "Oh shit, gun!" Right?
He's waiting for that moment to have
Yeah.
some action. you know?
Yeah. And so,
This is what I've been
yeah.
waiting for.
So I was
Johnson.
like, "Hey, I'm reaching to get my," he's like, "All right, I'm gonna get my wallet," and I asked him, I'm like, is it okay? I'm gonna reach with my right hand. Like I was very deliberate,
Right.
probably like over the top, but I was like, fuck this. I am not getting shot today on the side of this highway.
Over
we're
your
going
pride.
we're going 20 miles an hour over the speed, like not happening. And
You know what would be hilarious, dude? If you played it off, it was like, I'm going to reach my gun. All right, can I reach it? I'm going to move my hand, and I'm going to You're looking at my hand, and then when you get to the bottom, you just pull your dick out and make a little... Got him! I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a gun. I'm just playing. I'm playing, I don't have a gun.
I'm just kidding, bro. I got no gun, man.
and
Let's
then
talk about this.
and then you get shot, right?
Yeah.
You get shot in your penis.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You get your dick shot off. But hey, that video goes viral if you have a camera in the car.
That'd be hilarious.
So
You
we got
dead,
pulled
man.
over one time in New Jersey,
No, you
right?
didn't finish. What
Oh,
were you
all right,
saying?
go ahead.
No, that was it. I'm just saying,
What was the
yeah.
outcome here? What,
mean,
what did he say when you said I got a weapon on me?
You know what? Surprisingly, both times they were like, cool. They're like,
Surprisingly, because he was a white man.
Yeah.
yeah, well, no, I mean,
I don't know that.
no, I expected them to say a little bit more, but they were just like, cool, don't, just leave it where it's at. And that was it.
What?
100%. Just leave it where it's
Okay.
at.
You
Yeah,
didn't want
you-
to see
you-
it or nothing?
Hell no, they don't want to see it because they don't want me to pull it out. So the whole time, I gave him my license and my thing. The whole time they're in their car, running my paperwork, running everything, I kept my hands on the steering wheel the entire fucking time. Because now
That
the guy
is
knows
amazing.
now the guy knows I have a gun in the car, so I did not move. I gave him my stuff. I put it here. I kept it there the entire time.
So let me.
That was
I
it.
wonder what happens if you get pulled over in not the best side of town. You are somebody who's colored, and you tell them, "Sir, I have a weapon on me. I have a carry concealed
That's a problem.
license, and I have a weapon."
I mean,
I have no idea.
What
I
would
don't
you-
know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
And then you say, "What do they say?" And say, "Okay, sure, keep it on you. Don't move. I'm gonna go back to my car and do some paperwork." I have
Well,
no idea.
no.
I
So,
just
my-
I don't know what they
my-
say
my
when you
thought-
have a weapon on
what
you.
would you do if you were a cop?
Well, my
I'm not
thought
a cop, I'm not
process
trained.
is this,
no, but
right?
if you pull Corey up,
But here's my thought process. If the guy's going to shoot me, he's probably not going to tell me, I have a concealed
Yeah.
carry permit, my gun is right here. He's probably just going to pull the gun out.
And
shoot
I
me.
don't know
Maybe.
why would the cop want to say,
But-
"All right, well, give me your gun." Well, you're not a threat to me. Why would you?
Well, they don't want you to touch your gun, though, because if I have to pick up my
Exactly.
gun to hand it to him, that's probably
no.
the more
Keep your hands on the
dangerous.
steering wheel,
Yeah.
and that's fine like that.
But I'm sure there's some racist, fucked up shit that happens in that situation. They
Wait,
make him get out of the car.
I want to
They
say
make
it's not even
them-
necessarily racist, but it's
No,
a
for
different
their
scenario.
safety.
It's
Like-
a completely different scenario that
'Cause
somebody
more
has
shit
a.
happens in the hood.
Well,
Yeah.
The shit, the,
like
the whole,
what-
the
if
whole,
you're-
the whole thing that people are oppressed, and the whole idea of a hood, I'm very against it, and I understand that that's fucked up. But the reality of a hood being more dangerous is a real reality, and if I was a cop, I would take that as a different scenario. That if I'm pulling
absolutely. Well, let's say
somebody over,
I don't even
middle
know.
of
Okay,
Wakefield,
what happens when you pull over a white guy in the broad daylight? He says he has a gun. What do you do then?
is he wearing a durag?
Well, that would
he's
be
wearing a Durham
just.
Bulls hat. That changes things a little bit.
I think that would be just on the cop. Like that would be on the cop. If he
I
wants,
don't-
he might want to get you out of the car. He might just want you to stay.
I'm assuming that there's some kind of policy, there's procedures, there's some kind of you go the default. Somebody they have a weapon on them. What do you do?
Let me ask you,
and it might be just make sure that his hands are on the steering wheel and they're not, and if they're not a threat to you.
did you ask him? You told me you had a permit. Did they ask you to see your permit?
No, because they didn't ask me because I gave it to you. Have to show them.
Okay.
So I handed them my permit along with my driver's license, and you have
Maybe that's why.
and you have to carry your permit with you if you're carrying.
Yeah, and it's
So-
your right. So
Because, they have the license and the permit, and they know this guy's gone through the proper venue.
Sure, in a perfect world.
But I mean, I am sure that there are people that have said the same thing, that have been asked to get out of the car, that have been, for your own safety, I'm going to
Right, for
spread
your
you out
safety.
over the hood of my car and handcuff you, and made him go through humiliating shit. Like, it's not lost on me. I'm not a big, whatever. I don't know that I like scream like, hey, I've got all this white privilege, whatever, but I recognize the fact that there are
Sure, let me-
like
let's just
people
be
are
real.
treated differently, right? I get that. Like, I've seen it firsthand, and it's super fucked up, and I'm sure people have been put in bad situations.
And
like
certain
that.
situations, right? So if you're living in Raleigh, certain parts of Raleigh, but if you're working in a different city, if you're working in New Jersey, for example, I don't think it matters if you're white,
No.
black, or Hispanic. You're in
becomes
New
more
Jersey, in
normal.
your inner city, or if you're somewhere, I mean, it is. I don't care what your skin color is because it's just like that.
Yeah.
And in a moment, something can happen. Everybody's on edge. But speaking of New Jersey, so it's like I think it's 3 or 4 of us in a car. We're riding out. We were leaving. My cousin was going to school in New York, and we were going somewhere. We were going through New Jersey, and we get pulled over. Somebody was smoking something other than tobacco, and we get pulled over. Right, so the cop pulls us over. 2 cops, one on each window. Boom. Says, step out the car. Ask my cousin, all right, has anybody been smoking? Yeah, somebody, we smoked something earlier. Okay, great. He said he wasn't worried about that. Okay, he comes to the other side, and he asked a buddy of mine's, the guy in the back. I'll never forget it. He said, anybody got any weapons in the car? And then he looks at the cop. He's like, what do you consider a weapon, officer? He said, get out the car. Get out the car right now.
What did
What
they have?
do you consider a weapon, officer? Like, what the fuck? Why would you ask him that? He has some brass knuckles on him. Oh, gosh.
I said, by the way he asked that question,
Yeah,
he probably had some brass balls on
yeah,
him too,
seriously.
man. Shoot.
In New Jersey, I'm like, dude, why would you even ask that, man? You trying to get shot? Like,
Kind of a weird way, too.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have on? What do you think about this weapon?
oh man, we crack on this kid even till today about the same shit. What do you consider a weapon, officer? Oh my gosh! But he let us go. I mean, it was no big deal. Okay? It's like something norm, right? And it depends where you are. Somebody smoked a blunt in the car. Okay, no big deal. You got anything on you? You got a little bit something? They might toss it. But in a smaller town, you got a little bit. It's a big deal. So I can just imagine how on edge people are on bigger cities compared to others, right?
Yeah, there's no amount of money in the world right now that I would take to be a police officer.
Mm.
I
Tough
appreciate
times.
the fact that they do what they do. I have friends that are police officers, and we need them, right? You got to have
Absolutely.
somebody to call. There's no chance I would do that job.
well, I think it's like minimum percentage that bad cops or somebody trying to take advantage. I feel like that's the minimum. I got pulled over probably like 100 times, like literally like 20 times. I got pulled over. All the cops were super cool.
Yeah.
They let me go so many times. Like
And
even
you're
though
Latino.
and I'm Spanish.
With an accent.
Exactly.
Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, people talk shit about cops, and I'm like, I'd never been to
Elias
your
told us
shoes.
before in the podcast. He got pulled over, and he decided he didn't want to pull over until he got to the gas station.
Yeah.
And he went for
And
like
I drove
2
like-
miles.
And I drove, it was like a long drive. It was like on 7, coming on 7. It was super dark. I was like, man, I'm gonna pull over in the middle of the
Gas
here.
station or the next
So
place.
I just waited for the next gas station. So.
You know
But
what?
by the time he got to the gas station,
It
he
was
had
a bunch of
there was
cops there.
20 cops.
But you had your
Okay.
signal going on, your hazards. Or
Yeah, I had
something.
my hazard. I was going.
Okay,
like,
I mean,
he know I was gonna
He
pull
know
up.
exactly. He knows
but
they
he still
acknowledge
called
him.
20 cops.
Look, I used to have Maryland plates, and I was living in North Carolina. I'd get pulled over all the time, but I would get pulled over when I was like in certain areas that we opened the first restaurant in Durham, so I was working a lot in Durham. I was living in Durham. I didn't know what Durham had a bad rep at the time. I just thought it was like this all of North Carolina. I was like, this is Durham, right? North Durham. It wasn't by South Point. But when I would get pulled over, especially like on 85, they would pull, and then they see Maryland tags. It's like red flag. So they would pull us over, and one time it was the contractors behind me. I was in the front, and it was the contractor was in my back seat, and he pulls him out, and he questions him while another cop's questioning me. what do you guys do? I said, well, we're going to Sherwin-Williams to get paint. He's like, oh, yeah, sorry. Well, we're building a restaurant over here. He asked him the same questions. What kind of paint? I don't know, yellow? They're painting him.
He said beige.
Yeah.
Lock him up.
He said, Amarillo.
Can you tell your story?
Which one is it? So he's like, all right. He's like, I said, look, man. I was like, let me ask. He said, yeah, I got pulled over here last time. And I'm like, I don't have anything to hide. I'm like, yeah, I got pulled over here last time. I don't know. Maybe it's because I got Maryland plates. He's like, I said, we just moved over here. He's like, look, 85 is a main corridor from, I think, everything from Atlanta coming down and then hitting 95. So this is a big artery for drug traffic. And I said, yeah, sure. I mean, I get it. Like, all good. I mean, I didn't take offense to it. I didn't even get a ticket. And I mean, some of the times I don't think it was really, I never got a ticket. And I don't even think, one of the times he said I was behind, what's it called, when you're just on somebody's ass.
Tailgating?
Tailgating.
Well, they have to have a reason to stop you.
Yeah, that was his reason. I said tailgating. I don't remember anybody in front of me.
No, I mean, the guy that stopped me, he said I was swerving.
Yeah.
I wasn't swerving.
False. Right, exactly. So
like,
but so again, depends where you are. You see a younger guy, brown color, driving this
sucks
tinted
that it
out
works
window, and with Maryland plates. Yeah, it fits the description, right?
Well, tell this story about the strip club that happened to you with your.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I wanted to hear
so
that,
this
man.
is. Yeah, this
No,
is
this is
this
not
is-
what you think.
this is
Oh,
messed
never
up. I will. Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, there's some other stories we could talk about. No, this is like I will always remember this, and this is so. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and like race was never. It was never discussed. It was never a thing. There were, like the majority of my high school was white, but there were kids of all different races there, and nobody ever really acknowledged it.
Right.
It didn't stand out. It whatever. It wasn't on my radar. It didn't occur to me that people really paid a lot of attention to that. So I moved to Winston-Salem to do an internship, and one of the guys that I lived with, who became one of my really good friends, who I worked with, was black. And there was a strip club not far from where we worked. We were young, 21-year-old dudes, and we're going out one night, and he's like, man, let's go to the strip club. Sure. I'm like, shit, okay, yeah, let's go. Why not?
Do it.
He's like, man, I got a membership. I'm like, hell yeah. We could save like $2 on this cover charge. Like, this is the kind of place I want to be a member at too. So like, all
Where
right.
do I sign?
Yeah. So he's like, hey, listen, like a couple of my buddies are going to go to. I'm like, fucking A, right. Let's do this. So it's me and 3 black dudes.
Uh-huh.
And it's, we'd been to this place before. It was, it's 18 to get in. I think 21 to drink or something like
18
that.
18 to party, 21 to get dizzy.
That's right.
That's right.
And we show up, and there's these like super redneck fucking dudes, white dudes working the door, and I think I was the first one in line. Like, they check my ID, they're like, "Yep, cool," and then they like say to my buddy who was behind me, they're like, "Yeah, you guys can't come in tonight." I want to say they were like under 21. They're like, "Yeah, you can't come in tonight. It's over 21," and I'm like, fuck that. Or maybe they let my buddy in and his 2 friends couldn't come in. So I forget exactly what the deal was. I'm like, that's fucking weird. And we're like, man, it's like 18 to get in. What's the big deal? They're like, nope, can't come in. Can't come in. It's not going to fly. Not negotiable. I'm like, all right, man, that's fucked up. So we're leaving. We get out in the
You
parking
should have
lot.
told me he was a member.
I think I'm pretty sure my buddy that was the member, like he could come in. I think it was his 2 buddies that couldn't get in or something. So we go out in the parking lot. I'm like, man, that's fucked up. I'm like, and they start talking, and they're like, man, they're not letting us in because we're black. And I'm like, no, there's no fucking way.
Right.
I mean, I've never been like in this situation, right? I'm like, there's no fucking way. This is not happening right now. Like, really? They're like, yeah. They're like, they're not letting us in because we're fucking black. I'm like, no, fuck this. So I'm like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm like, I'm gonna call this fucking place right now, real redneck, and I'm gonna ask him how old you got to fucking be to get in this place. Put this shit on speakerphone, and I'm like, hey, Bo, man, me and a couple of my buddies, we trying to come up there and party, and I see some titties. Woo! Yo, how old you got to be to get in there, man? You know what I mean? He's like, and they, oh yeah, man, as long as you're 18, you can get in. 21, you can drink. Like, all right, cool, man, we're gonna be up there in a little bit. Hang up the phone. We walk right the fuck back in the door, and the guy's like, man, I already told you. You can come in. These guys aren't coming in. I said, I just got off the fucking phone with you. You just told me. That was me that fucking called you. The 18 to get in, 21 to drink. And he made it very clear. He's like, they are not coming in here.
Are you
and
kidding
in that
me?
moment, I felt so I felt guilty.
Felt raped.
No, I felt responsible because I was the same race as this fucking asshole. Like somehow I was responsible, and I've never felt so shitty for
being white,
but just for something that somebody else has to go through in that moment. I mean, I that was the first time I'd ever
if
seen
you
something
felt like
that
that,
blatant.
imagine how they felt.
Well, that was the thing, and the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this is so fucked. And this was 2004. I mean, this is not like we're in the 2000s here. Like,
Yeah.
what world are we living in?
And then the other part is like how when they see you, like when when your friend sees you, it's like you part of them,
Right.
you know,
right, right,
and
right.
you like them. I'm like,
You know the
no,
crazy-
really." Yeah.
Well, finish. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it. Like, I had just never experienced something like that. I didn't know
that it was real
that
like
that
that.
still existed.
I got a buddy of mine. He's Dominican, but he's dark skinned Dominican. He's dark skinned Latino, but he looks black. But he almost has an accent because he's Dominican, right? So he's almost like a Spanish Caribbean accent. He's Dominican. Never had a problem with cops. Gets along with cops. He's in a car club. They drive Corvettes and all these sports vehicles. Never had a problem. And he said he had a problem one time with the cop, and he thinks it was a racial thing, and it was. I don't know all the details. I wish he was here to tell you, but it was something they tried to arrest him and say that he had a warrant because he didn't pay some ticket. He said, I paid all my tickets. I had the tickets here showing the receipt that I paid this ticket. He said, well, this would have shown my system, blah, blah. I mean, the guy was like not even trying to look at his receipt. Like he wasn't, I have the receipt showing I had a ticket. I paid the ticket. Here is the receipt in my glove compartment. I don't need to see that. This was so much like, this is not negotiable. This is not. And he's like, man, I mean, that. So there, it's real and it's out there, man. It's fucked up.
And it makes you think how much of it is because of the experience you had. How much? I mean, it's all about.
And I get that. I get that with
exposure.
law enforcement and certain things.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
get
trying
it.
to defend
All right,
but
it's not
damn.
like every Hispanic come here is going to stab me, but not. I've had some
Majority.
encounters, and I got these scars from these Hispanic guys who try to stab me. But at the strip club, for you just. I mean, it's clear as day. You just told me it's 18 to enter. These guys can't come in. What do you do?
I mean, nothing.
Who can you call? What
Yeah.
do you do? I mean,
You can't do it. You can't do shit. So we stood out. I remember we stood out in the parking lot for a couple minutes, trying to wrap our heads around it. I mean, they were pissed, understandably, and I was beside myself. Like, I can't believe I just witnessed this firsthand. I didn't think that stuff like this still happened in America. That was it never happened in the area where I grew up, and it was definitely an eye-opening experience. This is how naive I was. I kind of assumed when I moved south that that it was just going to be the same. I didn't expect that there's going to be this different sort of racial feelings about race in the South. I didn't expect it to be any different, and it almost immediately became obvious to me that was not the case. And I was like, "Holy shit! This is way different."
Yeah.
And then I was just I was floored about that.
I moved to North Carolina in we were transitioning over here around 05, 06, 05. And I remember that we went to look at this one space, and this lady and I didn't really take it like a racist thing. I just felt like this this older, cute, old lady, kind of country lady.
She was cute.
She was cute. She was just cute the way she said it, but she was like, "Your English is really good.
Oh, I used to get that.
How
all the
long
time.
have you been here?"
I get
I
that?
said,
I used to get that all the time. on Apex.
I said, "Well, ma'am, I was born here. I was born in Virginia." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I was
You
just,
can get better.
I had never asked me. I had never been asked that ever, and I just thought that was so odd. I didn't take it offensive, and I don't think that she meant that, but I think she was used to a lot of Latinos that were not born here.
Yep.
And she said, "Wow, your English is so good."
Dude, I used to get that same thing when I worked at the Verizon store at Apex all the time. I didn't have a beard. I was younger and thinner, and they were as a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God!
It was a compliment.
Your English is amazing. You don't look that Hispanic. I'm like, oh, thank you. I don't know. Fuck you, bitch. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Yeah, that happened.
That
all
means
the
a lot
time.
to me.
It just it's like
Well, some
wow,
people try
you're
to
not
be nice, and they just trying to make a good compliment. They just don't know what
Look-
to say sometimes.
Yeah, it's
and
like
we-
you
You
don't
know,
look like
they
all
just
the
want
other
to say
brown guys
something
I've
to
seen.
compliment it, you know,
Right.
just to talk about something, you know.
Wow.
That's how I feel, you know. Like,
Yeah,
when
but
people
it-
make like a stupid comments, like they just wanted
Well,
to keep
Right,
talking.
right.
you know?
Hey, look, I get it. You come from the heart. You know, I get it. Whatever. When we grew up in Maryland, and we was very diverse. Koreans, Chinese, Taiwanese, Vietnamese, and then all the Latinos, like
Look at this.
right, all your Latinos and Africans, Haitians, Caribbeans. But it was definitely a culture shock over here, moving to North Carolina in 05-ish. But a lot has changed, and it's crazy how it's developed in these last.
It's all
14
about
years.
exposure, bro. So I've told this to you before, Corey. At the office, Relias. So I've had many
Might need to bleep that out.
jobs, or
The R word.
no, why can't I say Relias?
I'm just
It's
kidding.
nothing bad.
That's right. We used to think the same thing.
Thousands
It's
of
okay.
listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Reliance. Doing a great job.
Shout out to Alpaca. Alpaca chicken. If you guys want some chicken, you know where to get it. Alpaca, baby.
www.alpacachicken.com.
Ramira's wife thought it was a bad idea for him to give his full name.
Yeah.
He
It's
said-
okay.
We actually
I'm
never
not
said-
running for office anytime soon.
We would never say your last name.
No.
They have to do a quick search of Ram Beers.
They'll never find me.
Anywho, Bashki.
That's not even my real name. How do you spell it?
I worked at restaurants before Reliance mostly, and then the retail world, and it's very diverse industries
Mhm.
in restaurants. I've worked with people at Braza for months before they're like, "Hey, where are you from?" I remember thinking that, like they knew I was Hispanic. They knew
Yeah.
they've worked with many Hispanic people before. They're like, they don't give a fuck, and they're like, it's been months, and they're like, hey, where are you from? But I realized it was evident, like people.
Quick.
I was different, and people are like saying, like they would like they quickly engage me in some sort of Hispanic conversation, or say hola, or say shit like that. And I remember thinking when I first started working there, that was weird.
Yeah.
Like a little bit, because you know, if you've been in the corporate world, if you went to Pennsylvania College in Rocky Mountain, Slippery Rock,
Go Rock, baby.
and you've never, and then you go work at Reliance, and you know how exposed have you been to a Hispanic guy that is working on the phones in sales that is not a native? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's weird. Like to this day, there's a dude at Reliance who's actually not white that engages me every time and says "Hola, amigo," and it fucking pisses me off. And I told
It
them
pisses me
before,
That makes
it's
no
fucking
sense.
like it's
Is it-
fucking little bitch. If you listen in Villanueva, you know
Shout
what
out
I'm
to
talking. Shout,
What's his name?
Villanueva.
That's his name?
I love you and I hate you.
That's his name?
Filipino, I think. I don't know.
Villanueva. Oh, okay. Bueno.
But I think he means well, but he's always like, "Hey, what's up, amigo? What's going on?" Yeah, he literally sounds like that. And I'm like, well, whatever, man. And I think,
It's
and
kinda
it like
odd. It's
pisses
kinda
me
odd.
off. Yeah.
But you shouldn't take it like offensive.
No,
like,
you know, I don't think he means.
You know what's
offensive. I really
crazy?
don't.
You know what's crazy? Here in North Carolina, Latinos talk to each other like Hispanics. Like I might see somebody, hey, Kiwo, like, what's up?
What's
Talk
up?
to them in Spanish.
¿Qué
¿Qué onda,
pasa,
pues?
Holmes?
Sí, right. ¿Qué lo que?
Oh, some people ask you, do you speak
I am-
Spanish?
Yeah.
Yes, I do speak Spanish. Oh, hey, how you doing, man? I'm doing good.
Yeah, I don't know. I speak Spanish to you.
You know what's crazy? When you go to the West Coast,
Uh-huh.
when you go to California, right? So these are generations after us, right? This is like what it will look like here. These the Hispanic kids or the Hispanic a lot of Hispanic people don't want to speak in Spanish. They will speak to you in English. Even if you talk to them in Spanish, they don't respond to you in English. You can have a server who's Hispanic that may have grown up in
Right.
the States. They won't respond to you in Spanish, and I think we asked them like, "What?" A lot of people here don't speak Spanish. Like, "Oh yeah, we just kind of we just speak English." I mean, yo puedo hablar español.
This is like it's not comfortable for them.
It's not comfortable, and they're just not used to speaking it. They don't have to speak it. It's like one of a buddy of mine's years ago. His dad, he was Chicano, right? He was born here in the. He was second generation Mexican. And I remember I was like, so your grandma, we're talking, I don't know what. He's like, yeah, my parents speak perfect English. My parents were born here. I said, really? I said, they're Mexican? He's like, yeah, they're Mexican, but they were born here. So they were like Chicanos.
Just confused.
Chicanos is Mexican background, but born in the States. I said, that's crazy, man. He's like, no, and then we trip me out. He said, I said, yeah, because with my grandma, I always got to speak to her in Spanish, and that's always helped me, and parents, people who visit from El Salvador. He's like, yeah, my grandma speaks English. And I said, your grandma speaks English? He said, yeah. She speaks better English than Spanish. I said, what? And that was such a trip. And that's only going to happen in this time, right now.
Right.
Because I promise you, in 30 years, when Laura's a grandmother, she's going to speak better English than she does Spanish.
Oh, dude, I got...
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Your mom,
Dude.
and Nella's grandmother speaks great Spanish.
Bro.
But Nella's kids, her grandmother will speak more English than Spanish.
Look at this strip right now. I moved here when I was 16 years old. No English at all. Did not speak a lick of English. Maybe like the colors in it. Like I could not speak English.
16 years later?
I sometimes feel uncomfortable speaking Spanish. I mean, I'm still very fluent. It's my native language. I can speak Spanish. But in a scenario where like I was like doing a demo for work
In Spanish?
in Spanish, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Wow.
When I was doing a spiel at Braza and I don't think I could do it in Spanish. It's crazy, dude. I've been here now half of my life, so dude,
Yeah,
I can
that's-
see
that's,
that
yeah.
shit, bro.
I mean,
Let me ask you.
Well,
Some,
don't you think English is way easier sometimes than Spanish? Like Spanish is like a little.
I don't know about
harder.
that. I don't know. Sometimes
I do,
Some
but,
words
but
are-
there's some words that you can only say in Spanish,
Yeah.
right?
Te
And there's
quiero.
just like some
Te
words that you can only
quiero.
say in English. Te
the
quiero, mi amor.
conju-
Cariño.
in English, you say, "I ran," "you ran," "they ran." It's always ran. In Spanish, it's a variation of that verb. Yo
Corrieron,
yo
corrimos,
corro, tú
corrimos.
corres, ellos corren. So it changes. So it's actually, if you think of it that way, it's more
Spanish is
complicated.
harder, right?
Now, spelling from English doesn't make any fucking sense
No,
because it's
no.
not consistent with the
There.
sound.
Right. Read, read.
So it's,
Yeah, you write it the
I
same,
would
right?
never
Yeah.
get behind one is harder than the other.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something, Corey. You have a son, right?
I do.
How old's your son?
A
He's
white,
10.
10 years old.
Yeah.
a white male.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Now-
How many kids do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
Just one.
Just one 10-year-old boy.
Yep.
Don't say the name.
Nice.
Don't expose him to this.
We don't
conversation.
expose the minors to this one.
But
We only expose
why would
Elias.
you
He will
do-
not be listening to this episode.
What would you
Give
do
him 3 years.
when he brings in a Hispanic girl for a prom date? What would you feel?
As
like?
long as she can cook, it's all good, baby.
I don't care.
It wouldn't fuck. It wouldn't fuck with you at all, huh?
Not one bit.
Would it
I
upset
would put
any
her
of your
to cook
family
though.
members?
No, it wouldn't upset any of my family members.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. What about a black girl?
not at all.
Wow. This is the
Look, the thing,
I
you know, the
don't-
crazy part is
I don't. Yeah, no, it doesn't. I mean,
the crazy
I don't
part is
care.
the world is changing and is evolving just like technology.
Yeah,
The
sometimes
thing
I
is-
think like I don't see a lot of races. It just I guess thirsts me. Maybe I had like so many races coming thirst me, but I'm like zero shit giving. Like I don't really literally. You
Don't
want to say
affect you.
something? Yeah, okay. Next, you know,
Yeah,
like
doesn't
like
phase you.
that's I don't.
It's becoming better. So it's when it happens is unusual, but there are a lot of people that feel that way, and they feel like you're being done wrong. And I think that's why a president like Donald Trump gets to the top.
Yeah.
Because they do. There are people that feel like they're being done wrong, and a lot of them feel like a lot of it is with race and the immigrants and this and the blacks and then fuck this. Maybe not. Maybe yes. I don't know. But there are some. But I think you're right. I think in the next generations, this is not going to be an issue.
No, I mean I think it's going to be so much. It's like, how can you be racist towards one race, class of race, right? You don't like Hispanics. You don't like Hispanic. You like boom, your daughter marries a Hispanic guy. Now your grandkids are Hispanic, half Hispanic. How do you hate that little child? You cannot do it.
No.
I don't care. I don't care if it's half black, half Hispanic, half Indian. You're gonna love that child, and it's just so like ignorant.
well, unless you bury races.
Even if you're very
No,
racist,
no, like let's say like
Are you
I
not
have
gonna-
this look this. Like, look, you can look. This is so simple because my grandparents, like, this is. I know this is hard, but from my mom's side, they're literally like brown skin,
Mhm.
and from my dad's side, they're very
Light-
white. You know,
skin.
very white. So my
But
grandma is very white. My grandpa is very white from part of my dad.
Mhm.
Like blue eyes, like you know.
Argentinian people are fucking racist.
So and my brother, you know, I'm like I feel
No
like I'm
offense.
a little white skin. Like my brother is a little darker skin.
Oh yeah.
So my grandparents would, even though he was a kid, like they always push my brother away.
Oh my God.
And you're like, so they take, you know, like they're more closer to
preferirle.
my other cousin than my own brother. You know, that they were kind of close to. I never felt that towards my grandparents, but my brother was like, "Oh, fucking grandparents," you know, like.
Well,
Like
he
that,
felt
like-
it. He felt it from a young age.
So you're like, sometimes you think, it's a little kid. I don't have nothing against it. Well, he's brown skin. I don't like
Man,
him
your
because he's just brown.
Your grandparents
It's
are some
because
savages.
You know,
too many,
Damn.
too many choices.
So that sometimes you
Nice.
think like that, but when you have racism in your head, it doesn't
Allow
it's
you
not-
to
that the common sense that you have, they don't have it. It's like it's different.
I think it's also I mean, I think that's extreme. I think that is not common.
not.
I think that there's a lot of people who have been racist towards a certain, color or race, and you have grandkids, and then they're that race. Oh my gosh! And I mean, I don't know. Maybe just since we're talking about grandparents,
or it burns inside of you. If you do hate that race to that level, I mean, I think you're talking about like maybe a little bit of like I don't want it, but like there's people that really true believe, and nobody feels like they're doing something wrong, right? To them, that is just unpure and disgusting.
Well, and I think too, you also have people that are like socially, like I don't even know if this is a term, but like they're socially racist, right? Like they'll say fucked up stuff around their friends because they're friends. But at the end of the day, like if they come across, somebody on the side of the road that's in a bad spot, they're not gonna like walk away from that person just because of the color of their skin,
right?
And so it's like
That's
you have
just weak and insecure.
100%.
people. I mean,
That's worse. I feel.
It probably is worse.
Super worse.
maybe
Yeah.
not. No, maybe
No,
not.
I think it is worse.
I think it's
Because
worse.
they're
Have
gonna
some convictions.
They're gonna do the right.
So you're gonna
thing,
be
but they're gonna talk
racist
shit.
in front of your friends
Yeah.
just so you can fit in with your friends, but then you'll still help this other person if he's stuck on the side of the road.
yeah,
Doesn't
I'm
make
pretty
any.
sure.
That's
I'm
like
pretty sure.
worse. I think that's worse. You better
Man,
off
you
being
know
a
how many
racist.
people? You know how many
Hardcore.
people? You know how many people is like, yeah, Trump is not the man. Yeah, he's definitely not
Yeah.
the man. But when they go to vote, they're
Hey.
like, yes, I love what he says. You
Yeah.
know, and they go for
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Because people might fake something right in front of you. They can say something, make
Yeah.
you believe something.
That's
And you're like,
true.
yeah,
All
he's
I-
a good man. But then it's like,
All I care about with my kid is that whoever he's with is a good person. You know what I mean? Is a good spouse and has all the qualities that I don't. It doesn't matter to
Let
me.
me throw another wrench in there. What if he brings another man in?
Oof.
I knew you were going to ask that question.
Oof.
I didn't even know I was going to ask that question.
I knew you were going to ask that question. In
Because
fact,
I don't know how I would deal with that.
I
I
know-
have a daughter, and I don't know how I would deal
Here's-
with it. I
here's-
am very open.
I've thought about this. I mean, and I've been raised in a Christian family. I go to church on a regular basis. We take
he definitely
son
going
there.
to hell then.
At least
Oh, here we go. Oh, we're about to start the religious talk. Oh
Fucking
no,
isn't it?
here we go.
I would
if
my-
psychotic fanatic.
if my son comes home. So I'm going to preface it and say this: Do I want my son to be gay? No. Do I like? Is that something like I hope for him? Absolutely not. It's not. If he comes home one day and is like, "Dad, guess what? I'm gay, and here's this person, and I love this person. Do you still love me?" Without hesitation, I tell him 100%, and don't you ever doubt it. And I've got your back until the end of fucking time. No questions asked. Don't ever question it ever. And that's it. And that doesn't change as long as he is truly happy. Like that's it.
Let me ask you
You
something.
want me to cry for real, man? I'm gonna cry.
Do you think that your son growing up seeing magazines with two guys holding hands and commercials of two men couples walking down the street holding hands,
Or two female.
no, or two females, these subconscious indirect, I'm not going to say promotions because I'm with you. If you're gay, I respect that. If you're whatever, I respect that. Hold on a second. Do you think that has any effect or any kind of influence on maybe persuading somebody who's young and is on the fence or just not sure, just kind of confused, and has hormones and testosterone going through and is not really sure which way direction to go? Do you think that has any influence?
Before you answer that, would have affected you? Think about how you feel about women, and how I know I feel about women.
I don't think that's a fair question. You know why?
It wouldn't have
Because
affected me at all.
You know what though? I think that was a different. I'm not gonna say.
No. I'm just saying. You know how you feel, because you know that feeling you get when you see a girl that is hot, and you know what I'm talking about, right? That comes from
Naturally,
inside.
right?
That comes from your taint.
Dude, what's up with the
Is
taint,
there a
man?
taint counter going? Because you got to be like 30.
Seriously, at least 32 now.
That is gonna
32.
be that's gonna be the
Taint,
name of this
35.
episode. It's gonna
Ding,
be-
ding, ding.
Why can I say taint?
Ding.
That's gonna be the name of this episode. Corey Harpin taint.
So look, this is my question.
My
Oh,
que-
espérate,
you know, let me
espérate.
finish.
No. Let me.
Because I know where you're going with this.
Hold on. But let's say you never saw any of those when you were growing up.
I don't think it would make it.
Espérate.
I think that's a valid
You
point.
never
'cause-
saw any of that when
yeah.
you were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, till you get to puberty. Not one time did you see that. My question is, if you see it indirectly, subconsciously, it's okay because my friend has 2 dads. My other friend, he's my best friend. He has 2 moms, and it's okay. When I go to the bathroom or when I go out to the park, I see 2 guys sometimes, 2 daddies, because Johnny has 2 daddies, right? That's my whole life. And I'm seeing that, and seeing that is natural. It's something natural. It's common. It's acceptable.
It becomes
To
more
answer
common.
your question, it would not affect me. But I don't think that's a true. I don't think
If
that.
you would have seen it since you were 1, 2, 3, and 4, do you think it would have made a difference?
I don't
think
know.
so.
I don't know.
That's
That's why
the
I'm
thing.
asking.
You know for
No,
a
but
fact.
you're
I didn't
answering his
finish.
question.
I didn't finish because I know where you're going with this. I know for a fact that you know that what you feel about women is not coming from a social perspective.
Not at all. But let me tell you something. I was not influenced in no way in another direction. The only way I was
Right.
subconsciously influenced was in
Well,
a
that's what-
common direction.
That's what's so interesting about it. It's like you don't even know what it is. Like I was not influenced at all, and I was humping a pillow. Like why don't it is? I think that speaks to the fact that is some sort of genetic thing. That
Yeah,
you
but
can't
did the
do.
pillow have like He-Man on the pillowcase? Because there you go.
I'm saying sexual.
Spider-Man?
I think that's
Black
a valid
Panther?
point because like when you're really young, like those are your formative years, right? They say when the kid's up to a certain age, like you're a sponge, right? And so that could, that could absolutely, I would assume, right? I'm not an expert, but I would assume that could have some sort of influence on you. I also don't know, like, I don't want to insult anybody that's listening to this that might be gay. I don't know if you're gay, if any of that is a choice. It's not a choice for me to be heterosexual. I don't believe.
Right.
That's just how I am.
That's what I'm.
But I also don't, like you said, I've never been influenced otherwise.
Well,
I would never
you
grow up
said
around
it.
that.
You think you could have been influenced into being gay? Legitimately.
I think that's an impossible question to,
Exactly. That's
to
just
answer
a thought. That's just an idea.
because we don't know,
Martin,
right?
you know what we want? All right, look. Yes, you're right. I would say no. That would not influence me.
I don't think it's possible.
But let me finish. That's easy for me to say because I was never influenced by that. But no. But let's ask, right? Like, legitimately, how many kids in kindergarten right now or preschool have other best friends? He's my best friend. She's my best friend, and they have 2 daddies or 2 mommies from preschool. I didn't see that. I didn't see I heard maybe of one gay person, excuse me, when I was probably like 9 years old. And you know what it was? It was a gay guy who lived around the corner, and then my grandma would say, "Oh, si ese maricón."
Yeah,
Okay?
because
Hold on a second. So that was the one any kind of exposure I had to anything else. My question is, and it's a legitimate question. I mean, seeing that subconsciously throughout your growing stages and you're developing, if it has any influence, I mean, it's just a random question.
I'm just saying, homosexuality has been a part of history, of human history, since
Day one.
ancient
Yeah.
times. The fact that it was more oppressed in the past has nothing to do with the amount of homosexuals there are today, in my opinion. Obviously, my opinion. And the fact that people who grow up in extremely religious environments, non-gay affiliated, non-homosexual affiliated, and come out and is very uncomfortable and is not convenient for them to be gay, speaks against that argument.
So let's go to the other side. Let's go to the other side, the other end of the spectrum. you're somebody who's raised with two dads or two moms, most of their sphere of influence is gay, bi, or whatever. Or is it more likely that they would experiment, or they would want to be more, because it's definitely socially acceptable and it's part of life? Do you think they would be more?
They're probably more
prone to
open.
that?
They would be more open to it because it's more sexually accepted. Just like the Romans used to have relations with boys and stuff like that because it was accepted at the time.
So,
but I think that realistically speaking, a gay couple is not going to raise their kid to be
gay or
gay.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that if that is going to be the case, then I don't know. I guess the argument you're making is like all this gay culture and all this gay people being all open is going to make everybody gay. I don't think that
wasn't my argument. I had a question for Corey, asking him if his 10-year-old son, if he thinks that if he sees certain messages, if that would influence him to be gay.
Corey, fix it. Come on.
I don't know.
And there's no right.
I don't know.
And you don't know because there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, I'm not saying go to an extreme where it's being promoted. I'm not saying that. And I've had somebody that came out to me and said, "Look, I trust you, and I want to tell you something and just get off my chest that he was gay, because I know you won't judge me." And I didn't judge him, and I told him, "Well, I don't think you've been with the right woman." And he says, "I've been with plenty of women, and I've been with plenty of men. I've been with more men than women, and I know when I get home, I want a man waiting for me." And I respected that. I said, "Okay, I get it, man. Like, I mean, if that's what you want, that's what you want." And I don't have anything against him, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that I understand. I don't think that somebody chooses to be gay because how much hardship do they have to go through? How much oppression do they have to go through and not have to be accepted by so many? And like you said, it's from the beginning of a time. It's not like somebody just turned on a switch. Hey, turn straight already, right? I think they're born like that for sure, no doubt about it. There's some kids who they're going to be gay, and they haven't even, they're at such a young age. My question was, with so much indirect, subconscious messages or acceptance, if that would influence a 10-year-old.
I mean, I think everything has some sort of influence, whether it's enough, whether their influence exists enough for someone to
persuade, become
gay that wasn't going to be gay, who knows, right? But maybe it persuades somebody that is on the fence and like doesn't know if they should experiment to like, well, maybe now I want to go on a date with someone of the same sex because it's more open and that opens. I don't know, but I would imagine that there's got to be some level of influence. There's a consequence for everything, right?
Sure.
And so I would imagine that it's so. I mean, it'll be interesting to see 100 years from now what this messaging and this culture and the openness of homosexuality, for example, like what influence that has on the next generation.
I think it could be a positive influence going forward as long as you can understand that this is how some people feel. I do have an issue when parents are, and I've heard of this before, of making decisions for transgendering into kids that are less than 18 and making decisions like altering
their bodies
physically, their bodies. That I have an issue with.
Yeah, there's
they should wait. You're thinking they should wait till they're 18?
Well, I don't know, but like
the kid should make the decision.
Like if you, I think
at what age though?
That I don't understand that as much, and and the first reaction is that it's wrong. I want to understand it better, but somebody that's going to alter their body permanently like that it's a little bit disturbing to me.
There's like puberty blockers that they give these kids. I was reading about this. There's like a husband and wife that are going through a divorce, and I think the wife has like primary custody of the son, and she is raising the son as a female. And so
And then the dad wants him to be.
yeah, and the dad wants him to be a boy, and so while the son is there, he dresses like a female and has a female name, and the mom is like getting ready to start the kid. I think the kid is like 7 or 8 to start the kid on like puberty blocking drugs, and so the dad is fighting this fight in court like. This is too young. Like, my kid can't make the choice here. The kid is just too young.
At that point, it just seems like it's not the decision of the kid. It really doesn't.
No, but the
It
problem
feels a
is,
lot like it.
unfortunately,
and it's permanent.
Unfortunately, is the parents can't get on the same page. What's the best for the child? And you know what? Maybe one thinks that he told me he wants to be a woman. He likes my high heels. He wants to one day fit in them. And then the other guy said, "Well, let me let him take him hunting and fishing with me and." Let him experience this. At the end of the day, the big picture, I feel so bad for that boy or that child because of a 7-year-old little child that, man, that's
chance.
Has a.
But I tell you what, I feel the same way, in not necessarily to that extreme, but to a kid that was never introduced to a good nutritional diet either.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say that it was based on his nutrition diet.
No, I'm saying we're out there.
Damn.
But like if you think about it, the really thing that's if you look at it from
I agree 100%, 100%.
We're out there in their body, we're blocking things like that. But then we have a kid that it never had a chance. It's a little bit extreme of a comparison, but I feel like in a way is connected. It's like if you never give your kid a chance with nutrition. You never give him a chance either.
So one time, it wasn't the other, it was a while back. We were at a restaurant, and this kid was drinking it was a little kid, and he could barely hold a 2-liter. He had a 2-liter Coca-Cola.
Oh my God! Dude.
To the face. I mean, it was like the bottom little bit of the last Coca-Cola, right?
Grams of sugar.
But he was just holding the Coca-Cola with 2 hands, like cute little chubby fingers, and he was in a high chair, strapped in the high chair, drinking the Coca-Cola.
Damn.
Commercial picture.
Yeah, Coca-Cola better get a check from this rebate, kickback. No, and I was like, man,
Coca-Cola.
I was like, I just looked at, and I think we have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, 2 boys, and this probably we probably had one of them was just born, and the other one's maybe like 2 years old, and we don't give them any soda, we don't even give them juice, you don't even drink orange juice. If you want orange juice, all right, eat an orange, right? And then, but I was like, oh my gosh, man, that's not fair for that little boy.
Yep.
To be consuming that high fructose corn syrup.
No chance.
Why would the parents do that? Oh, it's so cute. That is not cute, man, and it's just ignorance. And I just said, man, I felt so bad. I can't judge them. But okay, I'm just saying, you do that's your child. I wouldn't, But you're going back to nutrition.
But I want to make that connection to a very different level, but in a way, it's not. And it just to show that, because it's gay and like. Dude, it basically what you're doing is you're altering your baby's body knowingly that this shit is bad for them, and you're not giving them a chance to make a decision when they're older. You're doing the same thing.
So what's your recommendation?
I mean, if you're gonna make it illegal for them to do that, then you make it illegal. Like if you're feeding your kid the wrong shit. I don't know the answers of these things. I'm just saying we should be talking about it. But
man, I think every parent's got to decide how they're going to raise their kid, and every family's got to be like.
And it's great different. If both parents are on the same page, right?
Impossible.
The problem is with this situation, the dad wants it to be a masculine boy, just to at least give him the opportunity. He's probably fighting. You know what? Ex-wife, if he wants to be a gay, that's fine. He wants to be a transgender, he wants to be a girl, okay. But give him some time.
Yeah, don't start
let him hit puberty first.
He
hasn't even hit puberty yet. Right? And then she's saying no, and maybe a part of this, maybe on the backside, like in a little bit deeper, maybe it's something just because amongst them two, and there's something. I didn't get my way through our marriage. I'm gonna get my way through this, right? And I'm using him as a tool. I'm using him as a avenue to get to my point, whatever. But she's trying to fight for him to be that female. Maybe he was just joking, and maybe he likes the idea of just kind of like a superhero. I'm going to be this girl, and
I'm going to be Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
But the other thing is okay, if you're a parent, right, what's the whole point of being a dad? I think it's to educate, to guide your kid, right? Like, if your kid, let's say, what's the name of your kid? Mason comes to you, it's like, I wanna wear a dress. What you going to say? Oh, he wants to
you want pink or purple?
Exactly. You're supposed to kind of guide your kid and be like, look, that's for girls. This is for guys, right? You kind of guide your kid the best way you can.
But now,
because then it's like, what's the point of you being a parent
the problem,
if
Elias,
the kid is going to decide whatever he wants?
The problem, Elias, nowadays, you're not supposed to tell the 4-year-old, no, that's for girls. Politically correct, you're supposed to tell him, okay, if that's what you want, then yeah, okay, Mason, here, let's go get dresses for you.
Yeah,
right or wrong.
So,
not in my house.
So,
okay,
so let's say like on the
Let's be
drink,
honest.
on the like when you're saying like educating your kid on the diet or no, not on the diet, but on nutrition. You're like, okay, Coke is wrong.
Right.
Okay, you shouldn't be drinking Coke, and you should drink you should drink water or some or whatever. So you kinda guide your kid to you kinda guide your kid to drink the
What is
best.
horchata? What is the horchata he's
I don't know all these Mexican words they're saying here.
We're gonna do a.
Mommy's been speaking English to me all the time.
Horchata. I think he's being aggressive.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, even like Mason, like the reason we tell him, like Mason, soda is not for kids, right? It has too much sugar.
Is it for
It
adults?
has high fructose corn syrup. It has too much sugar.
Yeah.
That's not good for you. Guess what he says? He said, "Can I have a little bit of that lemonade?" I said, "All right, I'll give you a little bit, but why don't you drink a lot of this lemonade?" He said, "Because it has too much sugar." I said, "Sugar good for you?" "No, it's not." "Okay, great." So you understood the message, my point. I was trying to get our.
You brainwashed.
Take a little bit of Chick-fil-A lemonade. Okay, sound like Kanye West. If you guys heard that song,
I
already.
love it. I listened to it on the way over here.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All I know is that he released an album that was like a Christian gospel. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
So I listened to a I don't know if it was a podcast or a documentary of Kanye West, and so I definitely think he's gone. He's basically he's gone. He's trying to build a church. He's gone religious.
Wow.
Not just gone religious. I mean,
Did he start a pyramid scheme?
No, definitely not. Bring your checkbook to that one. No, he. I think
He just went to church Kanye West. Like I heard that he was just at this guy church in Dallas, Texas.
Joel
Austin. Yeah, wasn't
Yeah.
he there? Yeah.
So I think he's just pretty much dedicated this album to God, and made an album on kind of on religion, on God, and
I think all of his future, I think this is, like, from what I've read, like, he's going back and he is, like, re-recording some of his old stuff and taking out swear words.
Right.
And, like, I think this is, like, he is planning on putting out gospel or Christian-themed music or clean music or whatever, like, moving forward is what he said.
Let's pick this up on right now, because we got a pizza that's getting cold.
oh yeah, we gotta get the pizza balls hot.
Let's do two because we got Thanksgiving one.
Kanye West coming up.
Let's follow this up with a Thanksgiving special one, and we start with that, and we make it maybe 30, 45 minutes. You guys down for that?
Sure.
All right, so let's finish this one here. And we got Corey Harpin, our number one listeners, in
Corey in the house.
in the motherfucking house.
Brah, brah, brah.
Let's start the next podcast talking about his channel because we didn't shout him out.
Definitely,
and
definitely,
his journey.
definitely.
So let's pick it up with
Kanye West.
Let's pick it up with your channel, and we'll go from there. We'll do a short one, but this one's about an hour and 30 at this point. Let's
All
go eat
right.
some pizza and come back.
Let's do it.
Thank you guys. I love you.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening, Corey Harpin, number one listener.
Bye.
Bye bye.